Hello guys and gals, it's Hunter's Guild Red Hood time, the final chapter, chapter 18, the end of a series that could have been. The end of a series that definitely could have been. Now I already talked about this in the chapter 17 review. I talked about Shonen Jump practices and how their fall from grace will finally happen. Once One Piece is over, they're going to have to learn that they've got to move with the times, that they can't stomp out creativity on this level anymore. Otherwise, people just aren't going to go to their magazine anymore. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. And we're not really even here to talk about the chapter. We're here to talk about the series as a whole. What did it do right? What did it do wrong? Like, this ending chapter ended the way we all sort of expected. Was it handled well? As well as could be expected, I would argue. There wasn't anything necessarily wrong. We had the tropey shonen protagonist moments, and then the let's look forward towards tomorrow, right? Like, the world might be ending, or the world might be different, it might be chaos, but hey, it's a world worth living, and we'll wake up tomorrow and we'll tackle the world together, you know, as a team, as a family, as friends, you know. The very classic style of doing things. Now, the series as a whole had some pacing issues. I'm not going to necessarily contest that or argue that. What I am going to argue is the fact that they decided about 3 chapters ago. So let's call it, let's be generous and say they knew about chapter 14, 15. Let's say, I think they axed it before that, but let's just say it's chapter 15. So they axed a series that they gave a quarter to. 1 quarter of the year. They gave them 3 months. And initially, everyone really liked chapter 1. So we move into chapter 2 and 3, and people were kind of like, all right. But then chapter 4 was like, yeah, we're moving on. And we got to see more of the world. We got to see that tank crab thing. We got to go to this building called the Ironworks. We met new characters, right? Then we started off the same way that I would argue a lot of series do their thing. Training arc. Or training exams. Tuning exams, anybody? Hunter's exam, anybody? That's what we were into, right? That's what we did. So when people argue to me, they say, oh, well, the big 3 did this, or this series did that, or we already had this by chapter 7, we had this by chapter 10. I'm going to argue, yeah. You know those other popular series that you're forgetting to mention that also followed a similar, maybe not the same pacing, but the same story structure, still went for a long time. So just let's table that for a moment. And then the fact of the matter is that, yeah, I will argue that chapter 2 and 3, you know, like chapter 1 hit the ground running, it was great. Chapter 2 and 3, mid. Then we got into chapter 4 and 5, and it was like, okay, we're going back up in the world. Is this steampunk meets Toriko? Is this steampunk meets, I'm going to use steampunk a lot, but steampunk meets fairy tales, pretty much, right? That's what we're doing. We're going to go for crazy designs, we're going to go for crazy stuff, and it's going to be really cool, right? So that's basically what happened. And then we went into a training arc. We met a lot of interesting characters. Everyone, fan art of Debonair was at an all-time high. Bonkers had a good backstory. We met Mario. We met some other characters there, and I had no problem with it. Was it 1 chapter too long? Maybe they could have sort of ended it off earlier or something like that. Maybe they could have said, okay, for the final stage of your exam, we're going to set you out into the world, and then we could have discovered more of the world. Would that have changed anything? Maybe not. I really don't know what you wanted them to do. Like, if Vila was going to become the only thing that could have happened realistically to change this, because this is the pacing the story had to almost take. Like, there's no other choice. Or you could have done what I said since chapter 1 review, and you guys can go back and check that out. I've been saying this for the early chapter reviews, is that time skip. We're going to get a time skip. We're going to see Vilu 3 years later, 2 years later, 5 years later, something like that. He's already established Hunter. We don't know where Grimm is. Maybe he's looking for Grimm, something like that. Sort of a Zelda thing, like he becomes adult Link all of a sudden, right? And then we get flashbacks of what the 18 chapters we've just read, and that's the series. That's entirely possible as well. maybe that would have been a better choice. I came up with it back in chapter 1, so it was definitely something that probably other people came up with as well. It was on the table. Would you argue that that would have kept the series around? Maybe. Maybe. I have no idea. I really don't. Shonen Jump chooses to keep series that are sort of in the basement. Like, once again, this series was in the basement, sure. But it was only in the basement for 3 months. What did you expect it to do? You expected it to sell as well as One Piece Volume 1 when you only gave it 3 months and a brand new author, brand new story, no other frame of reference? They're acting like these things. It's sort of like Hollywood. It's like, stick the Terminator or Star Wars or Disney name on something. Go figure it's going to do well at the box office, even if the movie sucks. But take a new concept, creative idea with no other name attached to it. They must throw out hundreds of scripts per year that are probably fantastic premises. So, Shonen Jump is basically the same idea as Hollywood. They have no vision whatsoever. And here is the case where you could have done that, I suppose, but realistically, this is the pacing that had to happen. Take out, like, people argue the first 2 chapters. Okay, take out chapter 2 and 3. Take out the brothers. Fine. Now, take Grimm and say, hey, Vilu, you want to become a hunter? Find Andy. What is next on the, like, there's no choice. He has to go to the Ironworks. He has to train to become a hunter. They can't just, it's not Men in Black, people. You can't just pick someone up and be like, okay, no formal training. Boom, there's a world of aliens. Let's go. Here's a laser. You know? Realistically speaking, Men in Black's premise is good, but the idea that they just randomly pick cops or firefighters or paramedics out of nowhere and go, or doctors and go, hey, yeah, you can be a Men in Black agent. Sure, we'll trust you with top secret intergalactic information, and we'll just randomly assume that you can kickbox and fucking all that shit later. We'll be fine. World-ending shit? Nah, you don't need any formal training. Realistically, that makes no sense. So, shonen rules and manga rules and storytelling rules in general say he needs to be trained to be a hunter. Now, once again, other than the time skip idea, which I presented, other than that, which you could argue, maybe it would have saved the series, could have. Other than that, what else did you want him to do? Take out the 2 chapters. We're still only 18 chapters in. Alright, we're 16 chapters into the series, still going to get axed. Because as I said, we knew the axe was coming by chapter 15. So, they're still going to axe the series even if you take out those 2 chapters. So stop talking about the 2 Werewolf Brother chapters. They did not mean anything to the axing of the series. You can argue, pacing problems, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, they still axe the series regardless. You're saying that, oh, well, we really like the Ironworks stuff, but since you had those 2 chapters before, we're going to give you the axe 2 months later. No, they didn't. So, do you guys really think that because chapter 14 and 15 didn't come out 2 weeks prior, that was the deciding factor? Chapters 14 and 15 would have changed Shonen Jump's mind had they come out 2 weeks earlier? Of course not. So, people got to stop using that as a fucking excuse. Yeah, were the chapters not great? Of course they weren't. But they moved into what had to happen. Vilu needs to be trained as a hunter. We needed to see that. There needs to be a training arc. So, what else did they want? It was a training arc. And we got to meet a whole new cast of characters. Debonair's awesome. We all like Debonair. The fan art alone will tell you that. Bonkers had a backstory. Mario, we were intrigued by the backstory. We had Titley, we had his sister, we had all these characters meeting, different designs, wacky powers. We were all very interested, very invested, and I don't see what they actually expected to happen. Now, granted, you could have taken the cops and robbers part out of it, and you could have had them explore the world. But by that point, they had already sort of decided to axe the series. So, people blaming the whole cops and robbers thing going on too long, or the exam, or the Werewolf Brother things, they would already have decided to axe the series. So, your argument's sort of invalid as far as Shonen Jump goes. You can argue why it didn't do as well as these results. Sure, you could argue these chapters were mid and they should have picked up the pacing or whatever. Sure, you can argue that. But you can't argue the fact that the series was already going to be axed regardless whether they took out the things that you're talking about either. Take out those 2 chapters, series still get axed. Still gets the axe. Sorry, it just does. And that's unfair. And it's unfortunate. But this ending chapter did wrap up everything as best it could. I think the premise was stellar. Nero the Swordmaster manga also got the same axe, which is, once again, I believe, unfair. They're taking the creativity out of the shit. You want to axe something? How about this very, very cookie cutter My Hero Academia arc that's going on right now? Like, really, really, really bad. Or Black Clover. Bring me Yami back. That's what made it popular in the first place. Like, you got these super popular series, and I would argue right now, other than Undead Unluck, Sakamoto Days, Dr. Stone, and One Piece, right now, the majority of the series have been mid. So the fact that you're axing series that haven't even gotten their water wings off yet in the shallow end of a pool, and then you're throwing them into the deep end and wondering why they can't swim yet, you know, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. Like, what are you going to replace these slots with that's going to be so amazing? I can't wait. I can't wait until February, March next year and see that they have replaced these series with nothing of good note. And they axe those ones too. Right? I can't wait to see what genius thing is in the works that they are so, all right, we got to axe something to put it in this slot. What thing is going to be so much better than Hunter's Guild Red Hood or Neru? What thing is going to be so mind-boggling in the next 4 to 6 months that these series need to get axed to move out of the way for this thing? I can't wait to see it. Because I guarantee you, we're going to see more cancellations by March, by April. By April, we're going to see more cancellations of series. More things that got a one-shot, nah, nobody cared. These aren't going to be replaced by anything fucking the next One Piece. They're not. Because they're not allowing the next One Piece to happen. Because they're stupid. So, because they won't allow that. If One Piece in today's climate, in today's Shonen Jump, if they put One Piece, Chapter 1, Romance Dawn, the exact thing, with no purpose of One Piece, into Shonen Jump would axe that thing about before we meet Zoro. I would argue that. I would argue that would get axed. Not so much Naruto, not so much Bleach, but One Piece would get axed. It's wacky, it's goofy, it's far out there with its creativity and its world building. It's not what Shonen Jump's about anymore. Toriko would get axed. Toriko would get axed tomorrow, so would One Piece. With no prior knowledge of them in today's, whoever's in charge of Shonen Jump now does not see world building, does not see creativity, wants cookie cutter shonen. That's why Black Clover and My Hero Academia are doing so well. My Hero Academia said, hey, we're going to take shonen tropes, mix it with Western superheroes. Boom, hit the ground running. Not to say My Hero Academia hasn't stepped out of its own shadow and gone beyond that. It did, especially with the My Villain Academia, like people call it. Definitely some greatness in My Hero Academia, but that's the premise that it was sold upon. That's what kept it in the magazine. Black Clover, every fucking trope you can think of in shonen, throw it down your goddamn throat. Boom. If Fairy Tail was in this magazine, it would just keep going. Because that's what they want. They want the same old, boring formula. They don't want something new. The fact that Dr. Stone did well at all was amazing. The only reason Dr. Stone stayed in this series, in Shonen Jump, was because readers loved it. Because it was exciting and new and stuff. So, you can argue these points all you want. Sure, you can argue that maybe my facts are wrong or whatever. All I'm saying, once again, we don't know what happens behind Shonen Jump closed doors. None of us do. So you on the internet, if you want to comment, no, you're factually wrong, you can't know this, neither can you. You can't know that this exact conversation doesn't happen behind closed doors any more than I can. I'm just assuming because I don't see any other way. Either they're penny-pinching, money-grubbing executives, which entirely possible. Well, then they're morons because they won't allow something creative. If they want the next One Piece, they need to let it get off the fucking ground. You don't cancel chapter 1 of Lord of the Rings because people didn't exactly take to it right away. You're a $1 million corporation. You can sacrifice a slot in your magazine for 6 months. You have One Piece. You have Dr. Stone. You have My Hero Academia, Black Clover. Everybody's paycheck is paid for. You are not hemorrhaging money. You are not a small-time business losing money with this shit. Right? You are a multi-million dollar corporation that makes millions. So don't give me that shit. Don't try to sell me on that. They're just greedy executives who don't see the bigger picture. So, anyways, very unfortunate. I did enjoy the last chapter for what it was. I thought it was as good as we could expect it to be. It did clear up a few things, but we never found out, like, Wire Girl's backstory. We never figured out Mario's entire backstory. We never figured out the Priest Girl's backstory. We didn't figure out a lot of things, unfortunately. We do get to see Grimm one final time in her full form sort of idea. So that was a nice thing. Yeah, unfortunately, creativity is at Shonen Jump. So I hope they jump to another magazine. I do. I want to see them in the one that does Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest. Maybe one of those other ones. The one that did Seven Deadly Sins and stuff. Go to another magazine. Go to another magazine with your creativity, because clearly you want to do world building. Clearly you want to do dragons and myths and monsters and stuff like that. And we need another one of those. We need another RPG. We need a Slayers, a Toriko, a Vision of Escalon. We need another just group of characters running around in an RPG style world. We need a Skyrim the manga happening. We need a Zelda the manga happening again. That's what we need. We do need that adventure-esque, discovering new things in a brand new, vast, open world of concepts. You know, Shonen Jump seems to have forgotten that because they're selling One Piece. But, you know, they forget that One Piece is literally that. So, anyways, that's the last talk about Hunter's Guild Red Hood, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. I've had a few people comment on both Discord and in the comment section saying, don't hype up these manga. Why are you hyping up these manga? And my only response to that is the fact of the matter is that if I allow myself, if I don't, people are saying, oh, wait until it gets popular, or wait until it's got 100 chapters, or 50 chapters, or what have you. My problem with that is then we stay in stasis. Then we don't get excited for anything. And I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to wait until the next Big Bang Theory comes out. The next MCU movie comes out. I'm not waiting for that. I'm not waiting for the next, this is the greatest new TV, the next Breaking Bad because it's 4 seasons in. I'm going to watch episode 1. And I'm going to watch episode 2 of season 1 before it gets popular. And I'm going to judge it based on that. I'm not going to judge it based on popularity. I'm not going to judge it based on this. Maybe the network cancels it. Maybe they don't. But maybe they're wrong. Look at what Netflix did. I wish there was a Shonen Jump I wish there was a Netflix for Shonen Jump series. Because you know how many series Netflix saved from network television? They saved multiple things that made them millions. Literally. I have the numbers to prove that for a fact. There are multiple series that network television shows were canceled, dramas and the like. They were all put on, Netflix bought them, gave them 3-4 more seasons. So the networks were morons. And in the same way that Shonen Jump are morons. I want a Netflix for manga. We need Netflix manga. That's what we need next. Because they will save these dying series and say, here, spend a couple of years, spend a couple of arcs. We'll see where it goes. If it's any good, great. We'll cancel it if it really does bad, but we'll give you an actual realistic time frame for people to enjoy, right? So we'll allow creativity over the dollar value. We're already made money. We're good, right? So, that's realistically, that is what we need. We need the Netflix for manga to save series like this. That's all I can say. Anyways, forgot my original point there, but anyways, like, comment, subscribe as always. Unfortunately, this is the last we're going to be able to talk about this series that I thought had a lot of potential. But the hyping up thing. I'm always gonna. I'm not gonna do that because if we don't get excited for new things, if we just say, oh wait, well that might get canceled, that is a glass half empty attitude, not a glass half full. I'm always going to hype up new things. I'm always going to, if I see something from chapter 1 that I enjoy, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to enjoy it. And I am going to hype it up because I believe in creativity. And I don't want to be a stagnant statue about it. I want to sit here. I want to enjoy brand new things. Eye-opener, first time. I don't need a bunch of people to tell me, oh, 55 chapters in, the series is doing well. It's fantastic. You should get into it. I don't want that. I want to discover these things for myself. And I should have the ability to do that. Fuck Shonen Jump. Fuck what they want to do and axe my good series. I'm going to still enjoy them time and time and time again. And one day, hopefully, enough people will rise up and this will change. The attitude at that company will change. But right now, not so much, unfortunately. But I'm never going to stop reading new series from chapter 1. If I enjoy it, I'm going to talk about it. And I'm going to hype it up. It's the way I'm built. Sorry to say. But I'm not going to be a paperweight. I'm not going to be some bland statue in the background waiting to be told. I'm not going to be a sheep waiting to be told when to move. It's not me. So if you guys are cool with that, as long as you know, that's all I can say. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you back here next time. What series is going to replace this? Maybe nothing for a while. We'll have to wait and see. Hope you guys enjoyed. See ya.